The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Monday episode of Running Point as we bring in a new week. Running Point is back, hiatus from spring break. If you follow me on social media, you know I was in Atlanta with my Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets softball team, which I love dearly. Love seeing them. Also there for family as well. I got a couple of uncles and a couple of cousins. I should say one uncle and a couple of cousins, I should say, that work for Delta down in Atlanta. So it's always good to see them while I'm going down to visit campus and see friends from Georgia Tech as well. So hope you enjoyed your spring break as well. We know we had a lot of teams travel. We're going to recap mostly their weeks because here, well, it did not really fare well weather-wise. We did not get a lot of baseball and softball game in this Northeast Ohio area. We had plenty of teams get in games in Myrtle Beach, in Tennessee, in Florida, etc. But we did not see too many teams with the ability to play here in town. Unfortunately, a couple of games got in actually. In fact, Southern Local baseball played in the snow on Friday, so props to them. Thursday, Friday. I think that was Thursday night. The days are washed, but there was a night late last week where it was snowing. Southern baseball and softball said, you know what, snow, rain, shine, sun, doesn't matter. We got to get a game in, and they did. And Charles Marsh, Mahoning Valley Sports, was out there, got some awesome snow pics out of baseball. So you don't usually get pics of snowflakes falling on a baseball field, but when they do come in, it looks so cool. So make sure to go check that out. Check out the story from the Southern baseball game as well. A lot of great stuff. We are going to kind of recap the week since I was gone all week. We do have things to talk about. I want to kind of just, we're not going to go game by game by game like we usually do. That would take too long for a week. But I want to kind of go over these teams, how they did in Myrtle Beach, how they did in Florida, how they did in Tennessee, and see where we stand, because we've had about a week where we haven't been able to talk about softball, and a lot has happened, a lot has gone down, and then there are a lot of teams out there that are starting to put their foot forward. Softball and baseball, is a really short season. So we're here in April 8th. We're about a month away from the tournament draw, probably less than a month from the tournament draw, and about a month away from the softball tournament happening, a little over a month away from the baseball tournament. Softball and baseball go quick. If you don't grab the games while you can, you're going to be in trouble. So that's why a lot of teams are going to probably be pretty busy this week since they missed last week. But Eclipse kind of shaking that up because obviously the solar eclipse today, canceling a ton of games around the area as well. So we'll keep you updated as that. We'll at the end of the show, we'll go over what games are and aren't happening today and what games will be on the network. But let's kind of jump into the scoreboard real quick. What we'll do first is we'll recap the most recent games that happened, which of course were last night. So we'll go in there. We'll see what happened last night. And then from there, we will kind of just dive into a recap of the week and see where teams are and all that jazz. So let's give our scoreboard a shout out. Pop them up on the screen for a minute, real quick. Let me share it on StreamYard. I had to refresh the page on the scoreboard to load up one score that was updated, but it wasn't updated on the page, so I had to reload it. But here we go. Here is our scoreboard presented by Burnett Pool Spas and Hot Tubs. The YSN scoreboard is a great tool for the fans, whether you are at one of the games or watching one of our broadcasts. Either way, you don't want to look away from the screen for too long. And the YSN scoreboard is a great way to get live, updated scores on your favorite teams from around the YSN family. Make sure to check it out at ysnlive.com/scores. And it is proudly presented by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. So last night, a couple of teams kind of moved their games to Sunday just to get them in, particularly the one that really was going down that Poland wanted to get in was this triple header that they had scheduled between Liberty and McDonald's, so they get this in. And Jackson Milton was able to get a game in as well against Camel. Jackson Milton won 22-1 against the Red Devils on the football turf, and it was really the John sisters that had the big day for the Blue Jays. They combined for 7 RBIs between the two of them. Emma Johns had 3 RBIs on a 4-for-5 day. Grace Johns had 4 RBIs on a 2-for-4 day. You had Brianna Macbeth with 3 RBIs on a 2-for-3 day. McKaylee Thornhill had 3 RBIs on a 1-for-3 day, 2 walks on her day as well. You had a triple from Macbeth and Grace Johns, Emma Johns, and also hit a double. So just a lot of good hitting for Jackson Milton, obviously, with the 22-1 score. McKaylee Thornhill pitched 3 innings, gave up 1 hit, 1 run. It wasn't earned, struck out 6. Macbeth came in for an inning of relief, struck out 2, walked 1, and didn't give up any hits or runs. So that was a big win for Jackson Milton after having to be off the field for about a week. They did not get any games in this week before Sunday. Talking about Poland and Liberty, we'll start with the first game of the day down there. It was Poland getting the win over Liberty. And it was a 13-0 win in 5 innings. And they had 11 hits, 13 runs, no errors. Eliana Thompson had a big day, 3 for 3, perfect at the plate, 3 RBI. Mary Brandt had 2 RBI on a 1-for-4 day. But the biggest was Olivia Horn, the pitcher for Poland, 3 for 4, 4 RBI. They also had a pair from Kylie Hudrin, who went 2 for 2 with 2 runs scored and 2 walks. And then you had an RBI as well from Cassie Blanche, who went 1 for 1 with a run scored, a walk, and an RBI. Brandt and Horn all hit doubles. Eliana Thompson led the team with 3 total bases. Horn also pitched the Bulldogs to victory in the start. She got the win. 2 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts for that. So Poland they started well. And then we saw McDonald take on Liberty in their first game of the day. And it went it went really well for McDonald. You know, when you're playing back-to-backs against 2 programs like Poland and McDonald, that's a district champion and a district runner-up. That's tough sledding for Liberty. As McDonald won 15-3 on the day. Miley Titus 1 for 4 at the top of the lineup with a run scored. Big RBI day from Kelsey Helko, 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs on her day. Bella O'Brien was 1 for 2 with 2 RBI. You had RBIs from Bree McCombs, 2 of them, a pair of them, 1 for 2 with a run scored. And then McCombs pitched the Blue Devils to the win. She went 3 innings, gave up 2 runs, 2 earned runs, 3 runs total, 2 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts on the day. Liberty only had 2 hits, but they did have a pair of RBIs from Seminaro, who went 1 for 2 on the day. So then it was the big matchup between Poland and McDonald as they both won their first games of the day. And McDonald gets a big 4th inning, 4 runs in the fourth, 2 runs in the fifth, 1 run in the sixth, as they win 7-1 over Poland. 7 runs, 9 hits, no errors. Both defenses played really well with no errors from either side. Titus was 2 for 4, so she had 3 hits total on the day, 2 RBIs from the leadoff hitter for McDonald to lead the way in that category. Well, no, I shouldn't say that because down there in the 8th spot, Audrey Evans was able to get 3 RBIs on the day. And her 3 RBIs came on a 1-for-3 day. Doubles from Evans and Bree McCombs. Bree McCombs went 1-for-3 with her RBI and 2 runs scored. She also walked. Isabella O'Brien, the ace for McDonald, went 7 innings. Did give up 7 hits, so Poland was able to get base runners. But the most important part was just giving up 1 earned run, striking out 14, only walking 2. So O'Brien, her normal self in the circle. Poland had 2 hits from Leanne Williams, who went 2-for-3. Mary Brandt went 1-for-4. Leanna Bocherry went 1-for-3. And then multiple hit day from Avery Yakubovic in the 9th spot, going 2-for-3. Doubles from Yakubovic and Brandt. Horn pitched on the day. She went 6 innings, gave up 8 hits, but 7 earned runs, and struck out 5. The big number for her on the day, unfortunately for Poland's side, was she walked 6 batters, which did not help out her cause, trying to keep this McDonald offense down. So McDonald still undefeated, 3-0 granted. They've only gotten 3 games in, but they will go into league play really for the first time this year on Thursday against Waterloo. They'll have their series on Thursday and Friday. Then a big one with Western Reserve next Monday and Tuesday. They'll be at Reserve first, and then home against Reserve on Tuesday. That was, of course, the district championship last year, round 3. McDonald was able to win it. They swept 3 close games with Western Reserve last year. So a little bit of revenge in store for the Blue Devils of Western Reserve. They hope, McDonald hoping to keep that success up. So now that we've talked about the most recent games and we've broken down the actual numbers of these games, I want to just talk about some of these teams and the week they had, especially the ones that traveled outside of the Ohio bad weather zone. We'll start in Myrtle Beach. And when you talk about Myrtle Beach, you have to start with South Range. Both their teams have been going to Myrtle Beach for quite some time. South Range softball started in 2010 going to Myrtle Beach, and baseball did not start that early, but followed them pretty quick with yearly trips as well. So let's look at the South Range teams, see how they did in Myrtle Beach. We'll start with softball. South Range got all their games in, even though Wednesday was a day where most teams had to cancel their games. South Range played early in the morning before the heavy rains hit. So first game, South Range won 12-0 over University. And then the St. Florence was next. South Range won 6-3. They did drop a tough one to Louisa County. 3-0 was the final score there. But then they bounced back Thursday and Friday with a 13-1 win and an 11-0 win over Herbert Creek and Spring Mills, respectively. So you look at South Range, the 2 close games they played in, they won one, they lost one. They were both 3-run affairs. They beat South Florence by 3. They lost to Louisa by 3. Everything else was pretty much South Range domination, 12-0, 13-1, 11-0. As we look at the stats, starting to shape up for the softball team. You see Gianna Pauline, who we talked about with Coach DeRose in his season preview. He was really excited about the strides that she made at the plate because she was someone that was really defensive only last year because other people were just hitting better. And he said, we had to take the bat out of our hands last year. So far in 7 games played, 18 at bats, she's hitting 611 to lead the team in average. She has 11 hits, 2 doubles, so really impressive start for Gianna Pauline for the Raiders lineup. And then you go through and you see the people that you kind of expect to do well. Gretchen Bartels, the senior, the lone senior, hitting 550 on the year. Anna A hitting 522 right behind her. These were hitters that really shined for the Raiders last year as well. Kira Brogan also 478. She was one that you had returning that you knew was going to bring a great bat to the lineup. Jaylee Wilt right there hitting 409. Ashley Rupert hitting 438. So the players that hit well for South Range last year so far through 7 games, really doing the same thing this year for South Range. The lineup is really good. And then I think the biggest question for South Range, though, and this was one that we brought up with Coach DeRose, is you lost 2 pitchers to graduation, and you were going to bring in a staff that was new to the varsity level, especially being the one in a varsity level game setting. Well, Jaylee Wilt, what? 32 innings pitched in 6 games, started 6-0 with an ERA that is sub 0.5. I'm telling you, and I said it in the interview, like South Range just knows how to develop pitching. I think Donnie Farron does an excellent job in pitch calling. I think that's a big reason why they were consistently able to elevate their pitchers to such a high level. I've talked about it before. You can have a really talented pitcher, but if you don't know how to use them, don't know how to call their games, you're going to put yourself and that pitcher in a bad situation. I think Donnie Farron does a really, really good job calling pitches, especially for Jaylee Welch. She's a lefty, so you got to go a little bit backwards in your mind when you're, so used to calling pitches for a righty. He's done a great job. 2 earned runs on the year for Jaylee Welch, 64 strikeouts, 19 walks. If you're nitpicking, I'm sure the coaching staff would love to see that walk number drop a little bit. 19 walks in what was it? 33 innings pitched, 32. So you have a little bit more than half of your innings filled with walks. In fact, um, her WHIP right now is just below 1, so 9.38. If it's below 1, you're doing good. But I think, if you're nitpicking, which you have to do with players at this level, you would love to see that WHIP go down a little bit further and see those walks go down a little bit. 5 hit by pitches to go on with those walks. So free bases might be an issue going forward, but when you're striking out 64, you can get out of some jams pretty quickly. I'm going to be really interested to see how she does against this local talent that she's going to face in the rest of their schedule, because they do have a monster schedule with local teams that kind of know South Range more. They go into that game with a little bit more fire than maybe you should say a team out of Myrtle Beach will come with, because here in the area, South Range is one of those softball teams that always will have the target on their back. Everyone's going to play them super hard. So they have Struthers on Tuesday and Wednesday to continue league play. They have a matchup with Poland, which was the district championship last year, a very good district championship game. That'll be on Friday in Poland. Interesting that they split that series up. It's going to be Friday in Poland, and then they'll play each other again, but not until 12 days after at South Range on the 24th, where they're scheduled to play Poland at home. So not your typical back-to-back that you see in most league series. With Poland, they're kind of splitting it up between 12 days. And that was originally scheduled too, so it's not because of a remake. But some other teams they have still left on their schedule, by the way. North is going to be a really good game. They have Mount Vernon. They play Hoover. Talmadge, who won the state championship last year in Division II. Stone Monroe Falls. I still think that Lakeview team is going to be one that gives them a lot of fits in the 8, so they have Lakeview to close out the season. There are a lot of tests on this South Range schedule, but J.D. Wilt has passed the Myrtle Beach test, which is one of the biggest ones you have to pass as a pitcher because they go down and they ask Myrtle Beach, give us the absolute hardest teams that you can, and they do that consistently. Talking about the baseball team, let's switch gears. On the South Range side, they went down to Myrtle Beach as well and had a pretty successful trip. They went 4-1. They won on Monday, 1-0, which is an absolute awesome pitcher's duel to kick off your time at Myrtle Beach. 1 run on 4 hits, and only gave up 3 hits to Kendall. And, a really good start from Julian Tranovich, who went, let's get his numbers in this Kendall game, 1-0, which is, you don't see a lot of 1-0 games in high school anymore. Usually these offenses are able to get something, but his final line, oops, I'm on the wrong one, sorry. His final line, they had 2 1-0 games down there in Myrtle. We'll go over the other one next. But Tranovich's final line was 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 11 strikeouts, no walks, no earned runs. That is impressive to open your time down in Myrtle Beach. Then a much easier result is they beat Floyd Central 14-0 on Tuesday. They bounced back on Tuesday with a loss to Wilson 8-0. But then the next day not the next day, the next game, Thursday, another 1-0 game for the Raiders as they beat Abbeville 1-0. And then they beat St. John's by 10-0, a final score there. Actually, we lose St. John's to a local matchup at the beach in the final game down there in Myrtle. I want to go over that second 1-0 game because this pitching for South Range so far really doing things right. And it is Brogan that had this start. A name that we knew from softball last year. Well, you know what? There's a boy on that program as well, Connor Brogan. Connor with a K to keep that family tradition going. He pitched really well in their win over Abbeville. His final line, I should say, was 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, struck out 7, walked 5. It's impressive. 2 1-0 wins for South Range. Their pitching staff as a whole, minus that one tough game against Wilson when they lost 8-0, gave up no runs. So they gave up 8 runs total in 5 games down there at the beach. I think this Raiders pitching staff is ready to make a really big splash in the area this year. And they'll come back into town and start their league play back up tomorrow at Struthers, Wednesday versus Struthers. They'll play Poland on Thursday, Mooney on Friday, West Branch on Saturday. I'm looking at that West Branch game, and that is really exciting. West Branch, why not transition right into them? They got some games in this week. They're undefeated. They're 7-0. And that's impressive considering that they didn't leave the area, but they became 7-0. They got games in, mainly because they had the benefit of playing in Minerva, who obviously has the turf field, so they can play down there. Here was their week. On Monday, they went to Minerva. They won 5-0. They won 10-0 against Minerva on Wednesday. Lakeview, they were able to beat them 4-0 on Saturday. And then yesterday, they beat Green out of the Federal League 4-1. So a 4-0 week for West Branch has them undefeated still. I think their most impressive win was yesterday against Federal League Green. 4-1 was your final score. Bo Alazos, who's having a great year, both at the plate and when he pitches. He didn't pitch in this game, but he did go 1 for 3 on the day with a run scored and an RBI. Jeremiah Thomas, 2 for 2, a perfect day for him with an RBI as well. And then their pitching staff. In this game especially, it was a pitch by committee. Thomas got the start. He went 4 innings, did give up 5 hits, just 1 run. It was not earned. struck out 7, walked 2, and then as a whole, the West Branch pitching staff struck out 10 and only walked 3. So that's a good strikeout to walk ratio. I think any coach would take it. In those 4 innings pitched, Thomas threw 77 pitches, 47 of them were strikes. 77 pitches in 4 innings. If you do the math, that is about 19 pitches per inning. So once again, players at this level, when they're playing this well, you get to nitpick a little bit. And I'm sure if you wanted to, you could say, well, he needs to get a little bit more efficient with his pitches. That way he can go a little bit deeper in the game. But the depth in the pitching, obviously very good because they were able to bring in Gavin Bell, who pitched in relief for them. And then they were also able, by the way, Gavin Bell went 2 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. And then Perry came in to close it out and gave up 2 hits but no runs, and shut the door in that last inning. He gets to save. So, that's a solid win for West Branch against a very good Green baseball team. Here's what their week looks like. They play tomorrow against Marlington, Wednesday against Marlington. Friday they're playing at home against Columbiana, and then obviously Saturday we talked about this matchup with South Range. Closing out the week against Columbiana and South Range, those are going to be 2 really good pitcher matchups, depending how the lineups work out. But both teams with multiple pitchers they can go to, and depth wise. So really excited to see how that fares going forward. Let's go to Canfield. Their baseball and softball teams were both down there at Myrtle Beach. We'll start with softball. Canfield, the reigning D2 state runner-ups. They are 6-1 in the season. That 1 loss coming to Austintown Fitch before they left for Myrtle Beach. So they went undefeated in their 4 games on the beach. They played once on Monday, twice on Tuesday, and they finished it out on Thursday. Their Wednesday game got rained out. They were supposed to play 5 games at Myrtle. A 3-0 win to start off against Bluefield. And then they beat Pleasure Ridge Park 16-2. They beat Louisville, not our Louisville, but Louisville with a W, 10-0. And they beat Spring Hills 10-0 in their trip down to Myrtle Beach. So the closest game, which is the one we're going to look at, was against Bluefield, a 3-0 win for the Cardinals. Melina Toth, 7 innings pitched, no hits, no runs, no earned runs, obviously. Struck out 19, walked 2. So 19 of the 21 outs you can get in 7 innings were strikeouts. That is phenomenal for Melina Toth. And then the offense was helped out with an RBI from Toth on a 1-for-2 day. She had the only RBI of the day for Canfield. So not only was she pitching well, but as Coach Gernan talked about in his season preview, she is really working hard on her hitting to contribute that to the team. So far, Toth, 28 innings pitched. She's on 4-1 record. She has that loss to Austintown Fitch. She's given up 4 earned runs, 67 strikeouts, just 5 walks. And her ERA is still below 1 at .96. So 67 strikeouts. Then at the plate, talking about her raising up her game at the plate, she already has 4 RBI on the year in 7 games played. So she's starting to really up her level hitting as well. So Melina Toth making a bid for being one of those players talked about at the end of the year for MVP for sure. When you look at the offense for Canfield as a whole, so far it is Ignacio leading the team with a 667 average for them. Marina Koenig having a great year, 550 at the plate so far. Leah Figueroa, no surprise here, 421 at the plate. Um, and then someone that, probably a little bit under the radar, a player that is new to the varsity level, Kaylee Ortiz, playing really well so far for Canfield. 385 batting average in 6 games played. She has a double and 3 RBIs. Canfield's led in RBIs, though, by Faith Morrell, who has 11 on the year so far. So she's obviously hitting well as well for Canfield. So they still have another matchup with Fitch. They're scheduled to play at home against Fitch tomorrow. We have to watch and see what that field condition looks like. We know that Canfield does have a field that um, can get wet, but it hasn't rained in a little bit here. So hopefully for Canfield they get a home game there and they're able to host Austintown Fitch. 5 o'clock will be the start time there. Game 2 of that. Then they go to Boardman on Wednesday. They'll host Boardman. They'll go at Poland on Thursday, at Alliance on Friday, before they start league play back up next week with Howland on Monday and Tuesday. So their week schedule is filled. They have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So after being off today, because the most teams are off today because of the eclipse, they have games the next 4 days, and 2 of them are league opponents with Fitch and Boardman. And then that Poland game is going to be pretty interesting too on Thursday. Always good in the battle of 224. Let's take a look at their baseball team. Canfield baseball also went down to Myrtle Beach. They were able to get in 3 games down there in Myrtle. They won 1 and then lost 2 really heartbreakers. They were able to beat Whack-A-Mole 6-4 on Tuesday. Then they couldn't play until Thursday because it rained down there. They lost 6-7 to Robert Bird. And then they closed out the time in Myrtle Beach with a 2-1 loss to Georgetown. You look at the stats so far, though. Got to talk about Michael Patelis and what he's been able to do pitching so far for Canfield. 13 innings pitched. He's a 1-1 record. He struck out 14. His ERA so far, goose egg. He's not giving up 1 earned run all year. 2 runs, but neither of them were earned. He struck out 14, walked 4. He is really pitching well at the start for Canfield. Leads the team in innings pitched by far with 13. The next highest person has 6.2. So Michael Patelis really, really playing well. He's also 3rd on the team in batting average, hitting at 438 on the year. He's got a double, a triple, and 4 RBIs as well in the season. So Canfield being led by him, but a tough start. They are 2-3. They're trying to find their groove a little bit. They split with Fitch before going to Myrtle, and then they went 1-2 in Myrtle Beach. Looking at their week ahead, they have a game that is scheduled tonight against Boardman. I want to check and see if that is happening. It is not, so that one moved to Wednesday. So they will play Boardman tomorrow and Wednesday. Then they'll be at Struthers on Friday to close out the week. So 2 matchups with Boardman and a matchup with Struthers on Canfield's week back home, first week back at the beach. So we have a few more teams to talk about as they made their trips. Let's talk about Hoban softball. They went down to Tennessee, got some games in. Hoban was able to go, 3-2 in Tennessee. They opened up the week losing to Madisonville North Hopkins 10-9. They bounced back with a dominant win over Pike County with a 16-0 final score. 11-1 over Whitley County. They then lost to Bullitt 8-3 before ending their week in Tennessee with an 11-0 win over East Jasmine. This week, Hoban has Gilmore Academy at Wednesday. Thursday, they will host Glen Oak. Before Saturday, they go and play a doubleheader at Uniontown Lake. So a tough week ahead for Hoban. Their baseball team got some games in this week as well. They went 2-1 on the week. I should say 2-2 because they lost yesterday to Steele 10-4. They were able to beat Padua Franciscan 1-0 on Wednesday. They beat Mooney at 10-2 on Saturday. They lost to Mooney in the second game of the doubleheader 2-1. And then last night they lost to Steele 10-4. Week ahead for Hoban, Strongsville tomorrow. Home against University on Wednesday, at Ellen on Thursday, and then Saturday they will play Ursuline at home as well. Boardman went down to Florida on the softball side, and let's get a look at what they were able to do. They opened up their week in Florida with a tough 2-1 loss to Oak Harbor. Then they bounced back, got a 5-3 win over that same team to close out their Monday. They played again on Thursday against St. Ursula. They won 4-1. They beat St. Ursula again 8-2. And then they lost to a very good Holland Springfield team 19-6 before coming home. They will play at Howland tomorrow, at Canfield on Wednesday, at Brecksville Broadview Heights on Thursday, Friday back home against Canfield. Excuse me. Saturday at they'll be at Poland for a 3-game tri-way, 3-game tri tournament at Poland. They'll play Matthews and Poland on Saturday at 1 and 3. Poland will play Matthews at 11. So it should be a fun day at Poland next Saturday between Boardman, Poland, and Matthews. So that's their week ahead. Boardman obviously looking very good. They were missing a couple of players down on the beach too, particularly Gabby Safara. So they had to have someone else step up pitching. And they did indeed. They had solid pitching. St. Ursula, their 4-1 win on Thursday. They had Tori Strines pitch that game, 7 innings pitched. Only gave up 3 hits, 1 run, none of them earned, struck out 4. And the next matchup against St. Ursula, when they only gave up 2 runs, it was Addie Kowasic who got the start and pitched really well. 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 3 strikeouts there for her. So when you have her pitching the way she is, Gabby Safara will be back in their rotation as they're back home. And then obviously we all know how good Tori Strines is. That's a good 3-headed monster in the circle for Boardman. They're going to have the 1 win against Howland. They're going to look to sweep that series tomorrow. Canfield's on the slate as well. And they'll have obviously a matchup with Austintown Fitch going into the rest of the season. Speaking of Austintown Fitch, they had a great time in Myrtle as well. They beat everybody by a lot, and obviously Fitch playing extremely, extremely well. Sydney Watts doing what Sydney Watts does. The Ray sisters doing what they do well. Kylie Folkwine hit over 800 at Myrtle Beach. It's just things are very prosperous right now for Austintown Fitch softball. So they're still doing what they do best. Before we get out of the commercial break and go to a player profile from Dylan Simpson, we are going to preview the games that are happening tonight. We do have a couple of teams braving the eclipse. On the baseball side, we have Beaver Area playing at 4:15 against Monitor. Beaver Local will be hosting Harrison Central, and Brookfield will host Liberty. On the softball side, same matchup with Beaver Local and Brookfield, as they'll host Harrison Central and Liberty respectively. Lowville and United still playing at YSU at 5:30, and Mohawk traveling to Elwood City. That is set for a 7 o'clock start time. Obviously under the lights at Elwood Stadium. So going to be a fun night. Let's see who's going to be on the network tonight. Liberty and Brookfield baseball will be covered by Noah Rick, so we'll have that one on the network. The softball side, Chris Sigler will be at YSU. for their matchup with their game with United in Louisville. I will be in Brookfield for Brookfield at Liberty inside the MVAC. Check all that out on ysnlive.com/live. That's where you can find those games. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we will have a player profile featured from LeBray's Dylan Simpson. You don't want to miss that. One of the best pitchers in the YSN family. And a great interview with him coming up next on Running Point, brought to you as always by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Back in a bit.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
All right, Anthony Hartwig here with you, and we have a LeBray baseball player profile. Dylan Simpson joins us from LeBray. Oh, their ace on the mound. Dylan, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I want to talk about the group that you play with. This LeBray baseball team has been good for a while, and you guys have built a very lasting tradition for this program. What's it been like going through the last couple of years and seeing the growth of this baseball program and how much success you guys have been able to have?
Yeah, so I mean, my sophomore year, obviously freshman year had COVID, and sophomore year really was a letdown for us in the playoffs. And then junior year comes around, we have a young group of guys expecting a lot, and they performed pretty well and just didn't get what we wanted in the playoffs. But starting that first game against champion, I think we have a lot coming this way our season.
Seeing that it's your senior year and it's your last chance to do something really, really special with this team, what kind of is keeping you driven this year? What are some goals that is really motivating you to keep working all year?
I mean, it's really just not like upsetting basically ourselves. Our goals as a team is just to make it farther than we did last year in the playoffs. It was a tough game. Obviously to win the league again is our main goal and just keep improving from last year.
And you talk about winning the league. You started off with a very tough league opponent against champion, Carson Fife, and we went toe to toe in the pitcher's mound. What's it like to get that first win under your belt and know it was a league opponent, and how much does that set the tone for the rest of the season?
I mean, it's great. So we're supposed to go back and play them again the next day, and obviously that sets a big tone whenever you go in there to their field and beat them there, and obviously it makes them have a little bit of worry in their game plan. But I mean, really beating a tough conference opponent like that, first game of the year, hoping to strike some fear in the rest of our opponents.
When you're starting out a new week or you're going into a game against the other team's ace, I mean, what does that do for your competitive juices? Does that really fire you up when you know that you're going to need everything that you have because they're probably going to do the same thing on their end?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, everybody has that adrenaline in them whenever they're competing. And when you go out there against their best guy, best pitcher, I mean, obviously have the relationship with them, just being right down the road for everybody. It's just get you competitive, get you going.
It is your senior season. I want to talk about some of the emotions that go through senior year and how you've been handling them and what it's like to go through everything knowing it's the last time you're doing it.
Yeah, so obviously, I mean, even in the bullpen with my catcher that I've been with since freshman year, like I'm just having a talk, like this is our last first game. So, I mean, obviously the emotions are there, but really just want to make a point, prove a point before you're gone for college.
You know, when you get to the next level after high school, usually most pitchers only have to worry about pitching. You know, in the bullpen, you start on the one day and then you have the day break. But in high school, you know, it's all hands on deck. You have to hit, you have to, you know, go in the field on days you're not pitching. What's it like for you to transition from pitcher's mindset on the days you get to start and then going to, okay, I'm in the field and my job is different and now I'm really an offensive tool as well. What's that been like for you as a high school baseball player?
So on the hitting side, I've always just had the same mentality. Got to hit the ball. Got to make something happen with the bat. And from the pitching standpoint, really, when I'm just pitching, I'm really focused on myself. I'm counting on my other guys. Like Austin Rose, our shortstop, I count on him a lot to lead the infield. And then when I'm not pitching, I take that role on pretty heavily.
You've done so much as a pitcher in your career at LeBray. How would you describe yourself on the mound? Like, what kind of pitcher are you, and how do you like to attack hitters?
I'd like to say I'm confident. I like to work inside. I mean, dominant, I'm going to be honest. A lot of guys, I just get ahead with the fastball. I can just ride the fastball. That's what my catcher and I talk about all the time. If it's whatever's working is going to work, and just stick with it.
And the numbers backed it up. When you say dominant, you look at the stats. You can't argue with numbers in baseball. You talk about your relationship with your catcher. Obviously, that's been one that you've built for a long time as well. Talk about it and how much you guys have leaned on each other to really build this dominant relationship that you two have.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'll be in between pitches for a big batter, big moment in the game. I'll just be like, it's on you. Give me the call, and I'll put it there. And we just have that connection between us that we grew throughout the 4 years we've been together, playing baseball before that, growing up. Just like we know we'll get it there. And if I miss, he'll pick me up, or if he misses, I'll pick him up. It's just how it goes.
All right, it's a 3-2 count. You need the out. What's your go-to pitch? What's the one that you want to throw? What's your favorite pitch to gear up?
Obviously, depending on the hitter, depends on if I have him ahead in the count. I mean, not ahead in the count. Obviously, it's 3-2. But if he's like not there on the fastball, I just go fastball. But if he's hitting the fastball, fouling it off a lot, I have to mix up with a slider and see what happens.
For you, obviously, you spent a lot of time developing your pitches. What was the hardest one to really master and get a firm grip of that you have in your tool belt now?
Honestly, a changeup. So to get a really good changeup that someone's just not going to tank off of you is just pretty difficult. So I'm still even in the progress of working on that now. Just trying to get a good changeup so I can get that under my belt before I head off to college.
And we're talking about the work that you put into baseball. Obviously, it's a lot of time. You got to love the sport to do it. Talk about your love story with baseball almost and how you found yourself falling in love with the sport, when you can remember yourself kind of going from it's just something that I do for fun to it's something that I want to take super seriously and put a lot of time into.
So, I mean, really it started in like coach pitch baseball. I was in the outfield, not really doing much, picking daisies and whatever. And my dad's like, hey, why don't you give him a try in the infield? Went to the infield, never looked back. But from that point on, I was like, I want to do this. I want to move on from here. 9-10 baseball came around, started pitching. I just never stopped, just fell in love with the game.
You obviously get to represent LeBray and you do it so well. What are some of your favorite things that you get to do representing LeBray? Like, what are some of your reasons that you love representing your school and wearing the Vikings across your chest?
It's a great program, great, like it's family. It's all it is. It's what we preach for our team. It's what I try and preach for my teammates. It's family, we're brothers, and that's what I just like to show. When we go into other places, always try and be respectful. Obviously, we're competitive. Things happen in the games, but at the end of the day, it's all respect. It's all love for the other team, no matter what.
Let's talk about, some of the things that you're most proud of. Obviously, you'll be graduating. When you reflect on your whole high school career, whether it be the baseball field, it could be in the classroom, what are some of the things that you've done that you are just so proud that you were able to accomplish?
Honestly, winning the league last year was a big thing for me. We didn't have the chance to do that my first 2 years, and then junior year came around, took on a bigger role, and got the job done. So I think that was a big thing for me.
We've already talked about the team goals you have this year, and obviously postseason success is big on that goal bird. What about, personally, what are some of the personal goals that you still want to accomplish before your career's over at LeBray?
Just performing well, really just pushing my teammates to get better. Really just want the team to succeed. And personal, just kind of keeping my stats up, kind of. It's not that big of a deal to me. At the end of the day, I really want just my team to succeed and win, get our goals accomplished as a team, and then I'll worry about me in the end.
Seniors are judged by how they left the program when they go. When you look at this LeBray program and you look at the things that you've been able to do to build into the youth and to build into the future of the program, what are some people or some players that you think, underclassmen wise, that this program's in good hands leadership wise when you graduate?
So our junior class, we have Owen Boone. He'll be able to step up a lot next year as a senior. And then just our sophomore class is loaded. And Austin Rowe, really good multi-sport athlete. Landon Brunstetter is really good. There's also some other guys. I'm drawing a blank right now, but our sophomore and junior classes are going to be really good in the next coming up years.
You bring up a lot of multiple sport athletes in your school. If there is any sport that you don't play right now that you watch and you go, man, I could really throw my hat into that ring, or I would really like it if I was able to try that out, what sport comes to mind?
Probably basketball. I played basketball my freshman and junior year. I stopped my senior year. Just wanted to play baseball, get better in the off season. I mean, every day a couple of my buddies and I are playing basketball, shooting hoops before practice. It's just fun. Just an environment, just team bonding.
Let's talk about some hidden talents. We know that you're very talented on the baseball field. What else are you good at? There has to be other stuff that you find yourself talented at. What are some of your hidden talents?
Oh man, don't really have many hidden talents. I could throw a football kind of good, but it's not really a hidden talent.
Hey, pitching and throwing a football, those two go together really well.
Yeah.
When you think about, let's just talk about hobbies, things you like to do outside of the sport of baseball, things that you enjoy. We know that, you love baseball so much, but you still got to get yourself that mental break from it every now and then. What are some of the things that you like to do outside of the sport?
Really just lifting, going to the gym. I like to hang out with my friends sometimes when I can, but most of the time it's just baseball practice and lifting, and then going home, going to bed.
What's your favorite workout circuit in the weight room?
Unpopular opinion, probably leg day. I like to squat a lot. That was my big thing. Just get on the squats.
Well, we'll flip that question too. What's the circuit that you have to really push yourself to get through because it's not necessarily your favorite or it's really hard?
Still with legs, probably like hamstring workouts. Every time I catch a cramp, that's just tough for me.
When we talk about your future, you brought up, college baseball a couple of times. What is in your future goals? What things do you want to see yourself doing after you graduate LeBray?
So obviously in college, I'm going to be attending Malone University, and I hope to make a big impact as a freshman, go in there and pitch, even if I don't make a big impact as a freshman. So I want to push my teammates, push myself to be better, and just see where I can build as a player from there and in the classroom.
What made Malone the place that, you wanted to land at? What were some things that were kind of the tipping point about their campus and about their program?
So really just the coach and the environment was just all it felt like home. The coach was very accepting, very understanding with my situation, obviously with Notre Dame college closing. He was just really very taking it. He just accepted me as one of them immediately. My family, everything was just so welcoming, and I just fell in love with the place as soon as I stepped foot on campus.
When the whole situation with Notre Dame happened, obviously that was scary for a whole lot of athletes, trying to figure out where their next home would be. What was going through your mind? What were some things that you did to in that gap between Notre Dame and Malone, obviously?
So it's kind of like a restart. I mean, had to contact coaches again. I'm talking to my trainer, asking him where I should go, what I should do from here. Just a lot of really just pushing myself at practice as well. Like you don't have that sure college now. Like you're still working again. And it was just unsure of everything. So I'm really glad that I found my home in Malone.
To be able to still get all that accomplished and done before your senior year, how much of a weight was that lifted off your shoulder to be able to just go enjoy your senior season of baseball and focus on LeBray as much as possible, knowing where you're going after you graduate?
I mean, it was a lot because obviously, unlike other sports, you don't have the ability to play your senior season and then still have that time to recruit. Like if we play my senior season, then I'm in the summer and I'm trying to do everything then. So I mean, obviously, it was really just a big weight off my shoulders.
All right, let's talk about what you're going to be studying at Malone. What are some of the career paths that you think you want to go into after your baseball career is ultimately over?
So I'm going to major in integrated social studies, and I'm going to become a history teacher. And then from that point, I'm going to try and work my way up to become a principal or another administrator in the school area.
Usually when people want to become a teacher or a school administrator, there's someone in their school history that impacted them. Do you have teachers like that you think drove you to want to be a teacher yourself?
Yeah, 100%. My math teacher, Mr. McNeamer, was a big, I don't know if he'll see this, but he was a big role model to me. I hope he knows that.
If he sees this, man, shout out. You molded his life, man. That's what you strive for when you're a teacher. And I know you're going to probably do the same thing when you're a teacher someday. You want to be a history teacher. I want to ask you a little fun question before we get you out of here. What part of history is your favorite? If you could like take a time machine back to one area of history, where would you want to go?
Probably like World War One, like old wars was just like really interesting to me, like seeing how everything worked, the type of weapons they used, stuff like that. It was just really what caught my attention in class. So I just wanted to continue on from there.
All right, Dylan, we do this with all of our player profiles. Before we let them go, we give them the chance to take the spotlight off themselves and thank their support system, the people that have been there behind them throughout their whole career. I want to give you the time to do that as well. Give out your shout outs and your thanks to all the people in your life.
I just want to thank my family, my friends, and my teachers, and also my teammates. And I hope that we have a successful rest of the year. And I love all you guys.
We wish you success as well. Dylan, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate it, and we'll see you again real soon. Good luck the rest of the year.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And that was Dylan Simpson, the senior ace for LeBray. Right now, pitching really, really well. ERA of 1.55 currently. And he's one of the best pitchers that we have in the YSN family. A good start to player profiles here in the season, but we have more. All week, we have them lined up. We will have a player profile featured tomorrow. Obviously, Scotty's takes Wednesday. We'll have a player profile on Thursday and Friday as well. So we'll have you covered for the rest of the week as we try to do here on Running Point every single day. We want to thank Dylan Simpson for his time and giving it to us from LeBray. That'll do it for today's episode of Running Point. Want to remind everyone that the few games that there are happening tonight can be found at ysnlive.com/live. By the way, the eclipse is happening in about an hour is going to start our little totality. If you want to go see it, do it. Eye protection. You don't want to end up like me, having to look at your phone like this, because maybe you stared at the eclipse for a little bit too long. Enjoy it if you're one of the people that is excited about it. It definitely is something that will not happen again with totality in Northeast Ohio. You won't be alive for it. So literally once in a lifetime. That phrase is used a little bit over the top at times, but literally this is once in a lifetime to see totality of an eclipse in Northeast Ohio. So if you're one of the people that is excited about it, I hope you enjoy the show for about 4 minutes until the totality gets out of there. And once again, check out the games tonight, ysnlive.com/live. Until tomorrow from 1 to 2, this is Anthony Hartwig, Running Point, as always, brought to you by our good friends over